Let's talk about the captured fugitive Kaitlin Armstrong and her sister Christine. Let's talk about Kaitlin's nose job and her sister Christine's $222 per hour therapy chat sessions. What if your big sister gets you in big trouble? What would you do? What if your older sister underwent plastic surgery to look just like you? Would it creep you out? What if your big sister wanted to be you because you were not a woman on the run, accused of murdering your love rival and stealing Botox injections? What would you do if you were Christine Armstrong, the younger sister of Kaitlin Marie Armstrong? That's what we're talking about today. Imagine if your big sister came to you begging you for help, telling you that she was in trouble, either confessing that she made a mistake or making up lies. What would you do? Would you help her? Would you help her escape to Costa Rica? That could be the scenario that Christine Armstrong faced when her older sister, Kaitlin Armstrong, went on the run. Kaitlin is suspected of doing away with 25-year-old Anna Mariah, also known as Mo Wilson. Mo had once dated Colin Strickland, but unfortunately Colin Strickland had a very jealous and rage-filled girlfriend named Kaitlin Armstrong. According to authorities, Colin is cooperating and he is not a suspect. Mo was found in an Austin home on May 11th, unresponsive. CPR didn't work. Unfortunately, EMTs could not revive the Vermont-based 25-year-old who had come to Austin for an upcoming cycling race. 6 days later, cops put out a warrant for Kaitlin's arrest. But meanwhile, Kaitlin fled from Austin, Texas. Apparently, Kaitlin made stops in Houston, New York, and New Jersey along the way. But after 43 days on the run, Kaitlin was captured in Costa Rica, of all places. Inside Edition found both Kaitlin's passport and her sister Christine's passport left behind in a locker. Those findings beg several questions. Did the 34-year-old Kaitlin enlist the help of her 31-year-old sister Christine? Did Kaitlin lie to Christine throughout the whole situation? Did Kaitlin keep her younger sister Christine in the dark and steal her sister's passport? Or will authorities discover that Christine helped her sister knowingly the whole time? Christine has not been named by authorities as any sort of suspect. These are questions that authorities will have to sort out, along with questions about whether or not Kaitlin underwent a plastic surgery nose job down there in Costa Rica in attempts to hide her identity, in her attempt to change into a whole new person. Like I suspected, Kaitlin also cut her long, flowing, kind of reddish, blondish locks into a shorter hairstyle, and she dyed them darker. They found her with a bandage on her nose. There was also a receipt left behind for $6,350 in Kaitlin's locker. It was from a plastic surgery center named AVA Surgical Center in San Rafael de Azcazú. So as the world focuses on Kaitlin and what will happen next, they are also focusing on her sister Christine and trying to figure out how she fits into the story. Christy Armstrong, fancies herself as some sort of high-vibing guru who charges $222 per hour per private session with her. Christine claims that people will get a 1-hour conversation with me to discuss your unique design, where you feel resistance and challenges in your life, and how you can leverage your unique gifts to find your flow. While the link to Christine's private sessions is still there, it's not clear if she is still selling them or not. It's not clear if we bought one for $222, if we would be able to talk to Christine, perhaps ask her questions about her sister, or if she would talk at all. However, as witnessed by comments on Christine's still active Facebook, folks were begging her to come forward and help find Kaitlin while Kaitlin was still on the run. One person commented, "Helping your sister out with any murders lately? How is killing another human being motivational?" That seems unfair since Christine is not Kaitlin. And they are not identical twins. Another person on Facebook was a little more kind to Christine when they commented, "If you are hiding your sister, I can't say I wouldn't do the same thing, but at some point you have to do the right thing and turn her in, because it would make you guilty of her crimes too. There is a God and He sees everything we do. We can hide or even escape from men, but we can never hide from God. While I agree that we can't hide from our Maker, I don't agree with the speculation that if Christine did in fact help Kaitlin, she would be guilty of the same crimes. She would not. There would be different charges, if any, leveled against Christine, such as perhaps aiding and abetting. Another person came to Christine's defense and wrote, "There is no evidence she's hiding her sister though." But indeed, we finally have a booking photo of Kaitlin, and she looks a lot different than she did in years past. There were happier times with Kaitlin and her sister. One was a photo from 2014, hashtagged Sista Sista. Another photo that same year shows the sisters at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. It's captioned, "The Armstrong Sisters Take on Vegas," hashtagged iHeartRadio. The Armstrong sisters look like world travelers in many photos across the globe. And Christine, in some photos, looks so much like Kaitlin, even though Kaitlin is taller. They both enjoyed long flowing locks of hair. Hair so curly and long that I mistook Kaitlin for Christine in a photo from 2018. But it was a photo from London where Christine professed her profound love for her sister. Christine wrote, "By seeing London, I feel like I've seen it all, really. Perhaps it's just simply the feeling you get of living out of your suitcase while traveling the world with your best friend." At Kaitlin Armstrong. Now those Kaitlin Armstrong social media accounts have been wiped clean and deleted from the internet, but Christine hasn't felt the need to do the same. However, Christine hasn't posted in a while, it seems, at least not to the public. Christine's most recent Instagram post is dated October 1st, 2021. Ironically, in that post, she spoke about life changes. Maybe, just maybe, that discomfort is calling you to higher, bigger, better, she wrote. But her sister was captured in Costa Rica. Instead of Kaitlin fleeing somewhere like Bali or Singapore or Iceland, like I had guessed, Kaitlin chose the rich coast of Costa Rica for some cheap living. According to Inside Edition, the fugitive yoga teacher's run ended after more than 6 weeks when she was recently arrested in Costa Rica. Kaitlin was caught at a hostel, Don John's Surf and Yoga Lodge. It was set in the small town of Santa Teresa in Provincia de Puntarenas. In Provincia de Puntarenas, it's a small town of only 3,000 souls in the population. In order to try and finance her Costa Rica cheap living, Kaitlin had recently sold that black Jeep Cherokee that she was caught on surveillance camera in Austin near the murder scene driving. She sold it through CarMax for only $12,200. Apparently, Kaitlin spent more than half of those proceeds on that $6,350 plastic surgery job she got down there in Costa Rica. No wonder she was looking for ways to live cheaply when she got arrested. It was May 13th when Kaitlin sold that black Jeep Cherokee for more than $12,000. It was during the same time Kaitlin had been questioned by police but let go. That's when Kaitlin left Austin with a stop through Houston and a stop in New York. Perhaps, as we discussed in the previous video, she may have made a little pit stop to Camp Haven to say goodbye to her sister Christine, who reportedly lives there. Then Kaitlin used a fake passport to fly to Newark, New Jersey, and then on to San Jose, Costa Rica on May 18th. Inside Kaitlin's arrest, a man named Zachary Paulson saw Kaitlin getting arrested, and he told Inside Edition she was just asking about how to get around cheaper, and then the police came. Zachary was the enterprising man who found the passports, both Kaitlin's, Christine's, and the plastic surgery receipt left behind in a locker. I guess Kaitlin didn't have time to gather the evidence, nor did authorities. Apparently, they were more focused on safely extraditing Kaitlin back out of Costa Rica. So it's presumed that Kaitlin had plastic surgery to just start a new life looking like a different person, perhaps more like her sister than ever before, or someone completely new. Zachary said that Kaitlin had a bandage on her nose and blood in her nostrils, whereas Kaitlin allegedly tried to blame it on a surfboarding incident or something. It is widely believed that she instead had undergone plastic surgery in attempts to change her appearance. Of course, Kaitlin wouldn't want to tell the cops that. Most people online are marveling about how quickly she would have healed from a nose job. It's not clear when Kaitlin underwent surgery and if in fact it was a nose job, but with her being on the run for 43 days, she would have had a few weeks to heal. The U.S. Marshals admitted that Kaitlin was trying to build a new life using someone else's passport, even though the U.S. Marshals would not specifically name Kaitlin Armstrong as that person. But Deputy U.S. Marshal Brandon Fila did admit that Kaitlin was trying to use her background of yoga to start a new life. He said, "It looks like she retreated back to her hobby, her career of being in the yoga practice. We believe she was trying to learn new yoga, possibly to instruct." This is true. This is something reporter Ashley Banfield had guessed and her team had guessed when they researched what possible careers Kaitlin might attempt to use to go forward in life. In my previous video about Kaitlin, I read her bio and we talked a lot about her financial background as a realtor, but we know that's the type of career that Kaitlin could not have adopted and tried to stay private. You can't necessarily become a realtor as a fugitive because you're in front of people usually all day long, folks who might recognize you as a murder suspect. Hila did admit that Kaitlin made changes to her hair. He said she cropped her hair about shoulder length and dyed it dark brown. The U.S. Marshal also added there was a lot of relief in the Marshal's office when it was discovered that Kaitlin was captured. When it was communicated that she was detained and she was in custody, there was a lot of relief in this office, Fila said. Meanwhile, the family of 25-year-old Mo Wilson also released their own statement. "We're relieved to know this phase of uncertainty is behind us, and we trust that justice will prevail." According to CBS News, Kaitlin is going to be held on a $3.5 million bond. And ironically, she must surrender all passports as a condition of any release. According to court records in Travis County, Texas, Kaitlin must also be GPS monitored. As of this recording, it is Tuesday, July 5th. 2022. I searched the Travis County court records to determine her next court appearance, which would be her first court appearance, hopefully Kaitlin's arraignment, but I did not see information on it yet. But stay posted because I do plan to follow this case. After her 43-day run is over, Kaitlin will likely face many more days as she travels through the justice system. Let's close with Isaiah 12:4. In that day you will say, "Give praise to the Lord, proclaim his name, make known among the nations what he has done, and proclaim that his name is exalted." Thank you for watching. Stay tuned.